You've got ideas, you've got ambition, you've got no time, or so you think. I'm Marissa Lonick, and I help busy moms with big dreams and no time. Join me each week as I dive into time management strategies, goal setting and achieving framework, and inspiring guests who are juggling mom life, work life, fill in the blank life. Dreams don't work unless you do, and just because you're a mom doesn't mean you can't still make it happen, whatever it means to you. Welcome to the Mama Work It podcast. Hello, Mama Work It podcast listeners. I am so excited today to introduce our guest, Leah Vachani. Leah started her career as a holistic nutritionist about 15 years ago, working in a pediatric office and running a vitamins and supplements department at a health store. Since then, she has raised two crazy boys, moved all over the country with her family, and learned a lot about motherhood and how crazy life can get. From these varied experiences, she has honed and focused her brand and learned how to best help her ideal client, the crazy busy mom, find her best health through diet, essential oils, and embracing body positivity. Leah, thank you so much for being here today.
Oh my gosh, thank you. I'm honored to be a guest.
Great. Well, first things first, why don't you tell our listeners who you are and how you got started as a nutritionist?
Yeah, so interesting story was I went to undergrad thinking I'm going to be a doctor. I loved health and wellness. I loved science. And as I progressed through my undergraduate degree, getting in biology, well, I changed 3 times, but I rested finally on biology. I started to realize that I wasn't quite on board with the path exactly how it was laid out. I wanted to take a more holistic approach, which kind of spun me into the unknown. So I got my degree and I went off to be a ski instructor in Tahoe because I didn't know what else to do. And as I lived in Tahoe with my husband and we did this ski instructor thing, he was then my boyfriend, now my husband. I realized that I was just still so passionate about health and wellness. So we moved down to the Bay Area, and Berkeley has a plethora of options. And I found a school. I just jumped into it, didn't even think twice. And here I am 15 years later. It's been kind of a crazy journey, but I've been so grateful for what I've learned because it's not only helped me with, serving clients, but also for my own kids and my husband and my family and myself.
I bet. I mean, those are great things to know as a busy mom. So tell us, what is your definition of healthy eating?
I don't think there is one definition. I actually think that there's a wide variety of ways to eat quote unquote healthy. I think that for some, for example, vegetarian works really well. I think for others, eating an omnivore diet works pretty well. I feel like everybody kind of has to take their own journey of discovery and find what works for their body. That being said, I think there's a couple things that we can rule out for everybody, like sugar and,
No.
I know everybody's like, okay, bye. I know, but there are some things that just you have to keep to moderation if you're going to try and achieve that healthy balance.
Of course. Yeah. No, I totally get that. Okay. So things to stay away from then, you're saying no matter what kind of healthy lifestyle you lead, because there are various types, would definitely be sugar. Anything else?
Well, I think there's several vices that don't serve all of us well. Like, for example, alcohol in moderation can be actually considered healthy, like red wine full of antioxidants, enjoying that in social situations with a nice dinner. That's great. Excess, not great. Probably the same could be said for coffee, caffeine in general. Many of us can handle small amounts of caffeine just fine. Other people have a high intolerance for caffeine and it causes all sorts of health problems. But I don't think anybody should be chugging coffee all day long up until 9 p.m. We mentioned sugar. I think processed foods, it's a slippery slope. It's kind of a gray area. Like, we're crazy busy moms. You need to rely on some ways to make your life a little bit easier. So yeah, some processed foods are probably well tolerated by most people, but there's that slippery slope. And once we start consuming processed foods at every single meal and snacks, well, then I tend to see that this dis-ease or unhealth creeps into the body and people come to see me.
Got it.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I would stay away from excess amounts of processed foods too. Sorry.
No, that's great advice. I mean, it makes total sense. So I'm curious, in your house, what's the most important thing you do to ensure that everyone is getting proper nutrition?
That is a great question. So I have two boys and a husband. My two boys are first grade and fifth grade. So we've kind of gone through the picky toddler eating stage and various other stages. But the whole time since they were babies, I made sure that we had a vegetable at every meal. Okay, we cheat on breakfast. We don't always have vegetables at breakfast, but lunch and snacks and dinner. And I think vegetables are one of the most important things you can introduce into just a healthy diet. And as much as possible, most Americans just don't eat enough vegetables, and it's hard because it's, getting fresh produce. It takes one or two or three trips to the grocery store or a farmer's market each week. So there's time involved. Kids are often like, oh, no, so finding ways to have your kids eat vegetables can be tricky, but it can be done. And vegetables are so important to feed the gut bacteria and also give your body fiber to get out all the toxins out of your gut, and then all the nutrients and antioxidants. I mean, it's just that food group, I think, is one of the most important. And everybody says it, but then we all kind of say, oh, yeah, vegetables. And then we turn our head the other way. So in our house, vegetables are one of the most important part of the meal. And what I found with kids, and this is my little trick, and I'm sure some of you might already know this, but when the kids come to you at that hour, like 5 o'clock-ish, and they're like, I'm hungry, when's dinner?
Yes, we have that. We have that.
I'm like, here.
Yes.
I put out a huge plate of raw vegetables. I'm like, well, if they fill up on that, I mean, no harm done,
Yeah, that's
right?
a great tip. Absolutely. Do you typically give your kids raw vegetables, or do you prepare them in a certain way? What's the best approach for getting kids to eat more vegetables?
Well, I found that each kid is so different. Like, I've worked with a lot of families before. So in my case, for example, for my family, my two boys will eat a whole plate of raw veggies. They don't want dip. They just eat them. Like, it's crazy. I sometimes with my little guy, I actually have to say, okay, stop. We need some protein in that belly
Wow, this is
too.
like every mom's dream, Leah.
I know. I probably shouldn't have said that. Now everybody's like, I'm being hated by moms everywhere. But this was also this wasn't just an overnight thing. I mean, I've been doing this since birth, basically. So I would like to put a caveat in there that changing anybody's, but especially kids' diet overnight it's hard. You got to look at the long game. So trying to put a little bit of fresh vegetables or cooked vegetables on their plate, and if they say no, if they say no once to broccoli, it doesn't mean they'll say no forever. It doesn't mean they don't like it. It's just kids are kind of wired that way. They're not enticed to try new things. And I read way back when I was in nutrition school that they believe that Mother Nature actually created that instinct in kids, especially when they started walking and toddling around and exploring the environment, because they didn't, back when we lived a little differently, we didn't have homes, and we were a little bit more of a tribal culture. Kids could wander off, and who knows if they were picking up and trying poisonous or foods that would cause damage. So that's an instinctive nature, I believe. Science believes. So we're kind of fighting against that all the time. Sorry, moms. Like,
There's a reason for this.
yeah, and you always have that one, or that I don't want to say odd child, but it's a rare thing where a child's like, yes, give me all the veggies all the time. It does happen, but most kids are like, nope, don't want to touch it, don't want to try it. And I would say that's totally normal. And the moms and the parents that have the success with getting their kids to eat vegetables, they're looking at the long game. They keep introducing it different ways, over and over and over. And sure enough, eventually the kid all of a sudden out of the blue one day starts eating broccoli and you're like, oh, what just happened?
Yes. I will say we do that in our house where we have kind of that strict rule as well with lunch and dinner, that a vegetable
Mhm.
has to be kind of consumed with everything else. And it is sort of like it's a habit, right? So at first, if this is something new you're introducing, it's going to take time for them to actually get used to that and do it consistently. But now it's
Mhm.
become so habitual that like if I ever forget, or, my husband's serving the lunch or dinner and he forgets, they remind us. I mean, God, doing
That's
something right
awesome.
here? So, yeah, I think
Right.
that's a great habit to get into. Okay, I want to kind of shift gears now and change topics a bit. And I want to talk about your 21-day reset, the amazing program that you run that I also participated in a year ago. So I will definitely have stuff to share on here too. But for the listeners who don't know what this program is, tell us all what the 21-day reset is all about.
So it used to be called the 21-day cleanse. And to be honest, when people went through that program, they came out raving about it and it was life changing for them for some people. But they didn't like the name because they thought, do I have to just, not eat for days or drink lemon and cayenne pepper? And so I changed the name because that's not what this program's about. What it really is about is basically an introduction to clean eating coupled with a basic elimination diet. And the reason we do that is we cut out certain food groups, certain types of protein that cause many people a lot of health issues or concerns that they're not even aware are being caused from food. For example, headaches or bloating or poor sleep or even hormonal imbalances, weight gain, inflammation, chronic pain. The list goes on and on and on. And because some of these health concerns can be attributed to food sensitivities, which is really hard to diagnose, the best way to figure it out is just to cut the foods out for about 3 to 4 weeks, which is why the program's 21 days. And so on this 21-day program, we actually tack on a prep week too. So I don't just chuck all this information at people and say, okay, eat this way. We spend a whole week getting ready for it, meal plans, grocery lists, you get a lot of tools. And then over the course of the 3 weeks of eating this way, cutting out sugar and stuff like that, people start to feel more awake and more energetic. They sleep better, they lose weight. And it's all just because we're eating healthy foods. It's not calorie restrictive. We don't fast, we don't drink weird shakes or anything like that. It can be 100% food based. And so people leave not only feeling better and addressing some of their health concerns, but they're also leaving equipped with a healthy, like a foundation for eating healthy for themselves and their family. In fact, some people come to me and say, oh my gosh, like my kids are eating, these healthy muffins now for breakfast, or my husband is now eating salads or whatever. There's so many ways that has changed the whole family's life, which makes me super giddy.
Yes. I mean, I definitely think it has that effect on families because I know me personally, I'm the main chef in my home. So when I did this program, I wasn't about to make like three different meals, right? I was going to cook this one delicious dinner that was cleanse compliant, which is what you would call the meals and the recipes that you gave everyone on program. And by the way, Leah's no joke. I mean, she gives you every tool, every resource, all the support, all the coaching. I mean, there is so much support and help throughout it. So don't be intimidated by joining, this 21-day reset. It is so awesome. And to do it in a community too. But anyway, back to what I was saying, you do this and you'll be surprised, right? That it's just sort of ripple effects onto all the other people in your home. And then it's kind of like an added bonus. Like you did it for you, but now you've been able to kind of change some habits of those in your house. So it's a win-win-win right there.
Well, and as moms, I mean, how many of us can raise our hands and say that we put everybody else's needs ahead of our own? It's about women, because mostly women, it's like 99% women do this program. We all come together and we're there for each other, cheering each other on, supporting each other, because we don't often get that in other aspects of our life. And it's just such a great feeling to put yourself first and do something for yourself that it benefits your body, but it also benefits your emotions and your mental health. And then you have this education too to carry forth with your family and help them. So I
Yeah.
think that's why people find it so powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. And we still use some of those recipes and those tips that I learned in that program. I want to ask, because I feel like everyone needs to hear this, because I was a little skeptical, I have to say, when I first joined it, not for the results or anything like that, more so like, I'm busy. Can I actually handle doing this program? So, can a busy working mom handle participating in this? Even if she's like the main chef in the house, even if she's doing all the things like the manager at home, the manager at work, like, can she really dedicate the time and be able to be successful at the 21-day reset?
Well, I think it depends on, so the answer is yes, but let me explain. I think it depends on where somebody's coming from. And I say this up front, like, this isn't some revolutionary, like, nobody does this type of program. I mean, it's eating healthy, it's cooking real foods. But that takes a little bit of time. It takes a little bit of effort. So I'm not going to lie to people and say, like, you're not going to spend any time in the kitchen preparing. You are. And if you're coming from a place where you didn't cook anything before, it might feel like more work than somebody that's been kind of, preparing meals here and there and a little bit further along on their health journey. So it depends on where you're coming into it. But I have to say, I kind of created this program for myself too, because I don't like spending time in the kitchen. I want to spend as little time in the kitchen as possible, but still serve my family healthy foods and myself healthy foods. So I came up with little kitchen hacks and time saving techniques along the way, and I'm all about keeping it simple. So, yeah, you'll spend some time in the kitchen, but if you want health to be a priority, you kind of have to do that anyways. So it's this journey of learning how to find that balance. And we give you tips. Like, there's places you can order from, food delivery too. And if you're in pinch, I give tips on like how to order from, let's say, like Chipotle, for example, and still get the healthiest option.
Did you
So,
hear that,
you know,
everyone? You can eat Chipotle on Leah's 21-day reset. All right. You can do this.
yeah, there's ways to figure out simple hacks and time saving techniques. And I'm all about cook once, eat three times.
Yeah,
You know,
I did love those tips. And I love your quote about planning. What is your quote that you
if
use?
you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Oh my gosh, how many areas of your life can you apply that? I mean, so many.
Because how many moms are at 5:30 p.m. and they're like, oh crap, what's for dinner? And at that time, everybody's hungry. So, of course, you're going to do something simple and put food on the table for your family. So, it's going to be mac and cheese, or it's going to be, something quick ordered
Right.
that's delivered. So, yeah, a
Yeah.
little bit of planning saves a lot of time, effort, energy, and gets you healthy.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, who is the program for? Is it mainly a weight loss program or for someone who's having digestion issues? Like, who should do it?
You're not going to like my answer because it's very broad. It's for everybody. It really is. I've had people join the program for weight loss. I've had people join it because they want to address chronic pain. I've had people address sleep issues, hormone issues, what else? Digestive issues for sure. I've also just had people join because they were eating healthy, fell off the bandwagon, and just needed a reset, which is kind of why it got its name. They wanted that group inspiration, support, motivation. So I've had people that, they know how to eat healthy. They just want that group feeling to kind of get them back on the bandwagon. So I've literally had everybody, every walk of life join this program for different reasons.
Yeah, I'll say I joined it mostly for the weight loss element. I
Mm-hmm.
was trying to lose some baby weight. I was about, gosh, maybe 3 or 4 months postpartum when I joined, and I did lose weight. It was awesome.
I know you knocked it out of the park.
But I will say the thing that I took away from it even more than the weight loss was learning what foods were really making me feel extra tired. And
Yeah.
when you're a mom with a new baby at home, you don't need anything else making you feel more tired than nighttime feeds. So it was so awesome to learn that and learn kind of which foods were doing that to me and how I could eliminate that or even just diminish those foods afterwards from my regular diet to just have more energy in general. And what mom doesn't need more energy? I mean, God, right? We could all use it.
But you don't want to be chugging the coffee at 8 p.m. at night either,
No,
right?
no, no.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's such a difference in the natural energy you get from taking out the foods that make you lethargic and just like dragging your heels. It's crazy. If you've never felt that before, you'd probably be like, what is she talking about? But once you feel it, you're like, oh, this is what it feels like to go to, sail through that 2, 3, 4 p.m. and not feel like you're just ready to hit the floor.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. And not be craving,
Hmm.
the carbs and caffeine and sugar to kind of get you over that slump for sure. All right. Well, besides healthy eating, what do you think are some other things that we should be doing as busy working moms to maintain good nutrition? Do you have other ideas or tips that you can offer our listeners?
Well, I really think everybody should be on a really great multivitamin and, some sort of comprehensive nutrition support, a supplement. Because as healthy as we can eat these days, you just can't get everything from your food anymore. I could go on and on about that, but um, a supplement, a multivitamin, with the current situation, with, health threats, I would say even extra supplementation would be beneficial. Movement is so critical. And as busy moms, sometimes it's chasing our kids around is enough, but other times we're sitting a lot. And, they say sitting is the new smoking. Well, there's a lot of reasons why they say that, from not moving your blood around and your lymph around and getting the toxins out. You get endorphins from that. I mean, I could go on and on, but movement is kind of, I think, pushed to the end of the priority list for moms. And it's one of the most important things, especially as we get a little older and our hormones get a little bit harder to balance and our weight gets a little bit harder to keep off. It's really important for especially strengthening your muscles. Oh my gosh. Do I have a limit? Because I could go on and on. I think self-care is so important because if we feel rested, we're going to make better choices. If we feel less stressed, we're going to make better choices with our diet and our health. It all ties together, which is why I'm a holistic nutritionist, because it's the whole. Everything matters. And so addressing these things, and in self-care, I'd add sleep too, because I can't get away with not saying sleep. That's so important.
I think so too. Absolutely. All right. Well, let's move on to our lightning round where I'm going to ask you some random, just for fun type questions. And then our listeners are going to get to know you kind of on a more personal level a little bit more. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Bring it on.
Okay, Leah. What is your go to get shit done song?
I would have to say This Girl Is on Fire.
Yes.
Alicia Keys. I don't know, gets me pumped up.
Yeah. Good choice. I like it. What book are you reading right now?
I'm almost embarrassed to say I don't really read books for pleasure. I just read a lot of health and nutrition books. So I'm
Well,
currently,
that's okay.
I know, well, I'm not even reading it. I'm listening to it because I like to multitask. It's The Tale of Two Sides. It's about vaccines.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah,
Okay. And I listen to like almost all my books too. So,
that's the only way I can get stuff done.
yeah, totally. Nail salon, hair salon, or spa, and you can only pick one place to visit for the rest of your life. Which one is it?
God, this is like torture. You can definitely take out nail salon. I can't keep anything on my nails. I'm very much a DIY person. Between spa and hair, that's really tough. I'm gonna go with spa.
All
Yeah.
right.
I'm going to go spa because that includes everything, right? Like facials, massages. More options?
Yes, yes. I mean, depends on what spa you visit, but absolutely. I'm going to ask you this one because it has to do with food and I want to know your answer. If you could only eat one food for the rest of your life, what would it be? And calories don't count. If you say kale, I'm ending this call.
Can it be a combination like a hamburger is like combination of things? Just I think one
Yes.
food.
No, you can totally say a hamburger.
That is such a tough question. I'm going to say tacos. It's got to be tacos.
I mean, you can't go
I'm
wrong
in
with
love with
tacos.
tacos.
Yeah. Let's see. Last question. What's one app you cannot live without?
Wow. Definitely, I'm so embarrassed to admit this. It might be Facebook right now. I have a love-hate relationship with it. It keeps me connected, but it also keeps me up at night sometimes. Like I'm very frustrated with what I read sometimes.
Yeah.
So,
It's so bad to look at your phone right before bed,
I
Leah.
know, right? I think it might be self-torture. I need to just well, you should have asked what is the one app you should live without?
All right. Maybe I have to change that question. Okay, Leah. Well, why don't you go ahead and tell our listeners where they can find you and maybe where they can also sign up for the 21-day reset if that's something that they're interested in doing.
Yeah. So we just launched the January 21-day reset, but it's run about 3 or 4 times a year. So you can find me on my website and definitely sign up for the wait list. You'll be the first to hear about the next program and get a discount. And that is lunchwithleah.com. You can find my contact information there. You can find me on Facebook with the same handle, Lunch with Leah, on Instagram, Lunch with Leah. It's pretty much just Lunch with Leah.
Very consistent. I like it.
Yeah, well, nobody can pronounce my last name, so.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you again, Leah, for joining us today. Super happy that you were able to make it. And we'll have Leah's contact information in our show notes so you can go ahead and find her and connect with her then.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you so much for having me on.
All right, bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Mama Work It podcast. I hope you've enjoyed this episode and would love if you could take a quick minute to leave me a review on whichever platform you're listening from, and maybe even send a note to a fellow mama friend recommending it. Reviews and recs help this podcast grow and reach more like-minded, awesome moms. And if you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click that button so we can stay in touch, girl. By the way, if you haven't checked out the Mama Work It website, please do. There are lots of free resources and great articles there that can help you with the juggle of work life, mom life, wife life, fill in the blank life. So head on over. Thanks again for being part of the tribe. I'll see you soon, but in the meantime, keep on working it, mama.